Hey guys, this is Joe from Joh.Talk, where we talk about the 7 steps to become a millionaire before the age of 30. Today I'm going to tell you guys about my 60% rule. It's a very simple philosophy that I followed my entire 20s to help me to become that millionaire at the age of 28, 29. It's a very simple philosophy that I used to become a millionaire in my 20s, and anyone can follow it. So let's dive right into it. The 60% rule. It states for every $100 you earn, you keep 60 for yourself. It's that simple. Literally, you keep 60% of your income, you save that, and you use it to then invest in an asset that can later provide passive income. That's how I was able to get there. It's very simple, the 60% rule. Now, a lot of you guys might be thinking, come on, man, you can't really live on 40% of your income. Yes, you can. I did it. And I just want to reiterate, guys, every single thing that I talk about on this channel is things that I did in my 20s. And you're going to be able to tell by the way I speak about these things, how passionately I talk about them, because I'm recalling my journey. But people are going to say, oh, you can't live on 40% of your income. Absolutely. Listen, guys, I want you to stick around until the end of this video because I have an extra gem in here that's going to allow you to stick to the 60% rule. It is bulletproof. And I promise when you get to the end of this video and you see this additional strategy, you're going to love it. It's bulletproof. Nothing will be able to get to that 60%. A lot of times you find that what we call essential expenses, they're really just wants. They're not needs. It's really wants that we've been spoiled by from just being in society. It's not needs. And we have to make the deliberate decision to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to live within my means and I'm not going to indulge in these things that are not needs. And nobody's telling you need to live on rice and beans, beans and rice. You can live a good life saving 60% of your income. Totally possible. How can we weed out some of these unnecessary expenses? One of the most common ones is food. For us folks in our 20s, a lot of us are not cooking. So food is a big expense for us. I remember one of my employees, as he was ordering takeout, I heard him say to himself, man, I spent so much on food, man. And I said, why don't you just cook then? He's like, I can't cook, man. I'm like, bro, just go on YouTube. They teach you how to do everything on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and cook. And he said, man, I'm not going to do that. The food is not even going to be good if I try to cook. And I said, all right, bro, listen, how much do you spend on your typical meal? He said, $20. How often do you order every single day? He's like, maybe twice a day. I said, bro, that's $40 a day. If you times that by 7, that's $280 a week. That's a lot of money, man. And remember, mind you, I'm his employer, the one that's taking the home cooked meal and putting it in the microwave. He's like, yeah, man, but if it's just going to be too much, I'm not going to cook good enough and I'm not going to enjoy the meal. And this is just a common pattern. Each time you try to show someone how they can get rid of that unnecessary expense, they try to justify it and tell you that, oh, it's an essential expense. No, it's not an essential expense. You've been spoiled by society. And all you got to do is just say, hey, you know what? Let me just try cooking. It's going to be bad at first, but after a few months, you're going to get good where you start enjoying your meals. So that's a simple fix. Just cook your own food. Another unnecessary expense that we typically have is Ubers. Oh, you guys have no idea how much some of these folks spend on Uber. It's a lot. And each trip is about 10 to 15 bucks. And when you do the math on that, you realize it adds up over a month. The next unnecessary expense that we typically have is subscriptions. Subscriptions is a tough one. I fell for this trap so many times. Whether that's gym memberships where you go and get a gym membership and you're not going to the gym. Whether that's Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, you have all of them. And you don't feel the immediate impact of it because each of them is just like $10, $12. It's not that much. But when you look at the sum, you realize, wow, this is $160 a month. Do I really need Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus? Then you start saying, okay, I can start getting rid of some of these. I could just stick to Netflix and work with that. So that's an easy one to fix. So those are the 3 common unnecessary expenses that we typically have in our 20s. Now let's talk about how I was able to stick to this 60% rule. It's a 3-step strategy. 1, for the 4 bank strategy. 2, the 10th of the month strategy. And 3, the rainy day strategy. Now, let me tell you guys about the 4 bank strategy. And this is a great one that's going to help a lot of folks out there. The 4 bank strategy is, the first bank is Chase Bank. This is the income bank. This is where all the money would come into. The second one is a community bank. I love community banks. They make you feel like you're not just a number. That's why I love them. The third bank is another Chase account which it's really tied to the first one, but this one is for expenses. And the last one is a rainy day fund account. I love to have a rainy day fund in the event that anything happens, I don't have to touch this 60%. So I'll tell you guys how it works. When the money comes in, it comes into the income account. When it comes into the income account, the first thing I do is send my 60% to the community bank. After the community bank, then I send my expected monthly expense to the Chase expense account, where all the expense comes out of that account. And the last one I would send to the rainy day fund account. So that's my 4-bank strategy. It's amazing. It worked for me because I felt like this created systems in my life that I could follow. I didn't trust myself to go ahead every single month and actually write down my budget line by line. Not a lot of people are doing that, so I started doing it in percentages. The second strategy to stick into the 60% rule is a golden goose. It is the 10th of the month strategy, and I'll explain to you guys. So I put that all my expense for the month should be withdrawal on the 10th of the month. This is a beautiful strategy because it creates consistency so you can really see where your money is going. Now, you're going to go ahead, you're going to call, whether it's credit cards, whether it's subscription, whether it's gym memberships, whether it's the utility bill, you're all going to put them on the 10th of the month. And I call my car insurance company. I say, I want to change my bill date to be the 10th of the month. And they're like, I'm sorry, we can't do it because you started at this time. And, we just won't be able to do it. I said, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and cancel my insurance then. When I said that, she said, all right, let me see what I can do. Wait, really? So I had to go there for you to consider changing the date in which you can take the money out of my account. But if you tell them that you're going to leave and find another insurance company, it's the fastest they'll be flexible for you. So you guys can try that strategy. I even did this with my rent. Yes, I paid my rent on the 10th of the month. Can you believe that? I'll explain to you exactly how I did it. I went to my landlord. I said, hey, listen, Eric, is it possible to start paying the rent on the 10th of the month? He said, no, what are you talking about? Rent is due on the 1st. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to, change up the way I, manage my finances. And I feel like if I could pay it on the 10th of the month, it would really help me. Like, that's your business, dude. Like, no, rent is due on the 1st of the month. It was a clear no. It was a firm no. And I went back and I thought, and I'm thinking like, man, this is really going to mess up the strategy. I need to try and do something else. And I went back to him and I said, Eric, if I pay you the rent and I pay for 2 months in advance, would this work? And he said, And I said, no, listen. So what I would do is instead of paying you the $800, I'd pay you the $1,600 and pay again every other month. You're getting $1,600. He loved this idea. And I started paying my rent on the 10th of the month. So some of the times, guys, you just have to be resourceful and just search for an answer and you're going to find that answer. And, that's how I got to pay my rent on the 10th of the month. And that's why you want to keep your rent below that 25% region, because it gives you flexibility to do things like this. At the time, my rent was $800. Imagine if it was $1,600. Now I would have to come up with $3,200. Come on, I'm not going to have that money to pay at that time. It's a great strategy. I love this one because this one really helped me to save a lot of money. Now, the rainy day fund account, guys, you want to take $1,000 from your 60% account. Just take $1,000 and put it in the rainy day fund account. Just a one-time $1,000. You're going to just keep that and leave it there. In the event your car breaks down, grab that rainy day fund. In the event that you need a quick $500 to pay for books for college or whatever, you grab that. Anything that happens, you can just grab it out of that fund account and then you want to build it back up immediately from your income. Now that you make it to the end of the video, I'm going to share a strategy that's going to help you with your 60% holding account. This is what you're going to do to account for any impulsive spending or quick decision. This community bank that you have your 60%, you're going to make sure you have no access to that bank. Nothing is connected to that bank. Remember I said you're going to transfer the 60% from your income account all the way over to the holding account? You're going to do that in a check format. Each time you get paid, you're going to take that check. You're going to write yourself a check. Go to the community bank and give them the check and they'll deposit it. You don't want there to be no digital access to that account where you can transfer money from out of the account to something else. You don't want to connect Zelle to the account. You don't want to have none of that. What you want to do is to make sure it's very hard for you to get a hold of that money so you can make sure you could keep it for a long time. Because this is what usually happens. Let's say an emergency pop up. What a lot of folks usually do is just go to the bank, use the 60% money to cover the emergency. Because the bank is so far and it's so hard to get access to the money, now you're forced to think more resourceful and innovative to solve that emergency problem. And 9 out of 10 times you will. That's the beauty about humans. It's like when we have no other choice, we always figure out a way to make this thing work. And that's what you want to do. And that's how you keep that 60% secured. Make sure you don't have any easy access to that bank account. So whenever you get paid, write yourself a check, take it over, put it into the 60% account, make sure that's cleared. That's exactly what you want to do. And because all your expenses are going to come out on the 10th of the month, that check is going to have time to clear and be in that 60% account. After you pay yourself first with that 60%, you're going to start realizing that, I wonder if I'm going to make it to the 10th. Will I be able to cover all these expenses to the 10th? And it's going to force you to think more creatively again, to the point where now you're thinking, all right, I'm going to cut this subscription. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to discontinue that gym membership because I'm not going anyways. It forces you to think more creatively. And this is why I love this approach, the 60% rule, guys. There it is. There you have it. It is a beautiful approach. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Like, share, and comment if you get any value from this video at all. Thank you.